Hello and welcome to The Well. I'm your host, Dr. Brendan Arm, Doctor of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine, Chinese medicine herbalist, and founder-director of Lotus Integrative Medicine in Santa Monica, California. There's a wealth of health-related information out there, and I'm joined today by this wonderful group of integrative and holistic medical doctors and practitioners to share some of our favorite wellness tips. Please let me introduce you to Dr. Heath McAllister, naturopathic doctor and registered herbalist, Dr. Rod Krochmal, medical doctor and a practicing physician who is board certified in family medicine, nutrition, and integrative and holistic medicine, Bianca Rodriguez, a holistic psychotherapist, and Leona West Fox, a family practitioner trained as an integrative functional nutritionist with certifications in both nutritional medicine and herbal medicine. So let's begin. Today's topic is, how do we take care of our mind during COVID-19?
I'm going to jump right in here with this one. You guys know I love talking about psychology and our wellness of our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. And so talking about what can we do during this very strange time of uncertainty. And what I am working on with a lot of my clients is, when we feel a complete sense of uncertainty, a sense of groundlessness, it can raise a lot of anxiety. And so finding something to orient ourselves around when we're in a time where we don't know when this is going to end. We have not lived during a time like this before, living in quarantine, dealing with a pandemic. Most of us have not, been around for this. And so what is something that we can orient ourselves around? And a lot of my clients, I see what they're doing is they're giving themselves time limits. So they're saying, you know what, I'm just going to kind of embrace what's going on right now and not make any big changes until maybe 2021. I'm just going to put certain things on hold until I have more information and just sort of, energetically take it off my plate. So we do need to create, I think, some sense of feeling like we have some control over the way that we are interacting with what's going on, even though we all know, and from sort of a Buddhist perspective, that, we don't really have control over a lot of things. And so learning to kind of do that dance between surrendering, allowing all of the different feelings to come up, if you're feeling grief, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling stress, and then also having a safe container to put those in by creating some sense of orientation around what's going on in the world.
Yeah, following up on that, I think humans are really looking for meaning in what we do, and taking a step back and just kind of looking at the meaning of what we're going through during this time collectively, I think is helpful. So for me, what that means is that in a previous segment, we talked about how even Western doctors are starting to open up to vitamins like zinc and things like vitamin D to treat this. And I think on an even broader level, if we look at this as what it is, and sort of the origins of where this virus might have come from and the imbalance of nature, to me, the silver lining is people on an individual level looking at leading a healthier life, and how that can relate to food, and seeking out farms and foods that are growing food and using regenerative agriculture in a way that's taking care of the earth can not only help prevent future pandemics, but also help us get through this one and start to make some changes that lead to a healthier approach overall.
I think that when I think about the health of the mind, there's two aspects that I consider to be really important. One is kind of taming the mind in terms of taming down our stress response. So that could be anything from doing some breathing exercises, exercise in general, yoga, meditation. This is a great time period. If you've never done meditation, we don't realize what kind of resources are right at our fingertips. That on YouTube, which is a free platform if you're willing to suffer through the ads and so forth. There's so many classes that you can take, and meditation exercises and guided imagery scripts that you can follow. So there's one aspect of managing the stressful time period. Another aspect of focusing the mind in a way that maybe you hadn't thought of before. Now that a lot of people during quarantine had just abundance of free time. So for some people, they went out and they just, I guess marijuana sales were really high. People were day drinking and having smoking pot. Well, instead of doing that, and no judgment, but you could focus it on something else. For instance, both Yale and Harvard have really complete online classes that are free. I mean, like, who wouldn't want to say you took a class from Harvard or Yale? Like, how cool is that? I was looking at it the other day. I was like, that's really cool. And they're free. If you want credit for them, you know, to like be on your resume or anything, you can pay for them, but you can take these classes, and there's some really amazing classes. So focusing the mind, exercising your mind in new ways, I think this is also an opportunity to do that, as well as managing the stress.
And I think I'll add to that, from the Chinese perspective, if you eat well, then the mind tends to be more clear. So if we're working on the mind and focusing on the mind during COVID, better foods means there's less energy is needed for the digestion process if it's better food. So slow cooked foods, soups, stews, more of a vegetarian diet, less of the fried, greasy foods or oily foods, less meats, less heavy meats, although fish tends to be pretty good from a Chinese perspective. Root vegetables tends to be recommended, less raw, less sugar, less alcohol, less coffee. Those are, you know, a whole list of stuff. But if you eat, you know, more of those slow cooked root vegetables and natural grains from a Chinese perspective, and then it requires less energy to break it down. So if there's less energy used for the digestion, then there's more energy for the mind. So an approach to make the mind strong is to eat well. And I also would add that, you know, another thing to strengthen the mind is physical activity. So healthy diet and physical activity would be, you know, a couple thoughts on Chinese medicine.
Actually, that kind of ties in what Bianca was saying, back over to what you're saying, which is sometimes when you have a focus, and in many ways, when you can orient yourself towards investing into the health of your body, it helps to focus the mind. And even on a basic physiological level, when your blood sugar is stable, the mind is stable. But even in a more holistic and kind of all systems working together, when you have that focus, it really does help to kind of bring all systems together and help calm the mind and focus the mind for sure.
Well, that's about all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us. And please join us next time for more wellness tips. And remember, regardless of where we are, our resources in the well are limitless. Have a wonderful rest of your day.